Seemed like you guys blitzed a little bit this past week. What did you see on film as far as the results go, and it's something you got to do like going forward? You think?
Just took a look at what we thought was going to be best against the Steelers. They have so many weapons there on offense, and just wanted to do some things just to change it up to attack. And our guys have shown a good ability to blitz during the spring and during the summertime and training camp, and just starting to build on the package a little bit.
When you're a team, going in, they're more apt maybe to use a fourth down than other teams would. Does that change? I mean, obviously third down, it's like, hey, protect the sticks, like don't let them get there. But now, if they're within a yard or two, that's just another play for them. I guess, does that change the mentality at all?
Definitely, you have to be aware of it. You have to be aware of it. Coach Staley, he's an aggressive coach. And between him and the offensive coordinator, you have to have an understanding going into the game that fourth down is live. It also changes how you think about it on third down and second down. So you got to take that into account.
What's the next step for Tyree Wilson? What's the next step he has to kind of get you in this development?
The one thing for Tyree, just keep getting acclimated to the league in terms of getting familiar with the different sets he's going to see, the different looks he's going to get from the offense, just getting familiar with that, and then just working on his own craft, whether it's in the run game or passing game, improving that. And then, for most young players, just improving their strength and, just their endurance throughout the season. It's just getting used to NFL football. It's just a different animal.
Do you take into account a player's level of experience in certain calls? Like Ja'Cory Ben is a rookie cornerback. There's going to be a learning curve there. Is that on your radar when you're making decisions in a game?
There's a bunch of stuff on our radar during the game, and each player is different, each situation is different. Leading into this week, you're going against the Chargers, and they have a lot of offensive weapons. They're well coached, with a new offensive coordinator there, and just trying to get acclimated and learning what they're going to do with those guys. But you got to take a bunch of stuff into account for each play, each situation, going into the game plan. So I want to be specific there for JB, but, you got to take that into account for a bunch of stuff.
What have you liked about JB so far through 3 games?
What have I liked?
Yeah.
Again, nothing's changed in terms of just the way he prepares during the meetings, the way he prepares during the week. He's a real diligent young man. Same stuff I saw at the Senior Bowl there, and it's really encouraging to see him grow each week. He's growing each week. And, of course, when you see corners that can tackle, that's always a positive there. That's definitely a positive.
A lot of the talk the offseason was about trying to create chaos, create turnovers. That hasn't happened on the field. There's been a couple that were close. Do you look at it as the processes there were close, or is it just like guys have to finish and find a way to do it?
Always trust the process. Always trust the process. Find ways to practice it. Find ways to to measure it. Just practicing the habits, making sure that we're trying to attack the ball, and just always really stick with the process and make tweaks where you can make tweaks to see if we could get more opportunities, but just keep grinding away at it.
So far, what have you seen from Malcolm Kuntz on the other side, opposite of Max, that you really liked, and what are some things you feel like he's doing well?
The physicality showing up. Again, you look at an edge player, setting the edge in the run game, being disruptive in the passing game in terms of crushing the pocket, making moves on the inside or outside. Just positives there. And then I can't speak for Tom, but I know he plays on special teams, so it's always good to see that he's growing as a young player.
Also, another thing I noticed is kind of the interior line starting to rotate a little bit more. How beneficial is it to have young players like Byron come in, but you also have veterans like Adam Butler and John Jenkins who can step in and kind of feed off each other? It's
important to have those guys up front. Leading into this week, I know they didn't run the ball a lot last week, but the offensive coordinator, he's well known for being able to run the ball. It's important to be able to be stout inside, trying to affect the quarterback with the inside interior rush. And the more guys you have doing that, the better off you're going to be. And we have a pretty good group of guys that work pretty hard. And, they're really hard workers, and they're pretty intelligent. I love being around the defensive tackles and D-line. They're some of my favorite people to be around on the football field. So it's a positive.
You've faced him a few times. What jumps out when you watch Justin Herbert on film or even live, I guess?
He has access to the entire field, true access to the entire field. This big arm, can throw it anywhere on the field from any, again, I'm not a quarterback's coach, but I don't know how they describe the different ways he can just get the ball anywhere on the field. I think you're seeing his intelligence, in terms of at the line of scrimmage, they're going more, with the tempo and the different things they're doing there. He's getting more and more comfortable. Like, again, with that comes with experience. So you're seeing a quarterback out there who's comfortable making decisions. They're giving him more responsibility. He can make all the throws. He can hurt you with his legs. He's a really dynamic player, and it's gonna be fun to go against him.
You were just talking about the tackles, but I guess the defensive line as a whole, as a unit, how have you kind of assessed how they played so far, and I guess what more do you need from them?
Again, just defensive line play. What you're looking for is being stout versus the run, disrupt the passer, get in the middle of the pocket, and just good effort each play. And those guys are giving it to us during practice. They're giving it to us during the game. So pleased with how all those guys are working together. And it's also becoming a cohesive unit. That's a good thing. They enjoy being around each other.
Have you seen Max approached differently by opponents so far?
Max is a dynamic player, and he's going to get every look you could think possible. So, I mean, that comes with the territory when you become a good player. No different than being a really good receiver. You're going to see a whole bunch of different coverages, a whole bunch of different things. So, but Max, again, just good players, they get attention.
They lost Mike Williams the other day to injury. I guess how much does that change the prep or the look at it, and maybe not knowing exactly how they react to not having him out there?
Well, Mike wasn't the only one they had, so they're pretty dynamic skill group in terms of whether you go down the list of the tight ends to the wide receivers. So I'm sure they'll figure out something. We'll have to be ready for it. So
They made a pretty prominent change at offensive coordinator in Kellen. Does it look discernibly different?
they're getting the ball to their go-to guys, and and the quarterback's making the right decisions. So specifically the scheme, I mean, we're still in the beginning process of watching the tape and stuff, but again, from what I've seen, Keenan Allen's going to catch the ball. They're going to get the ball to the tight ends. They're going to hand the ball off to Eckler if he's playing. So I mean, that's been a pretty good formula for him.
That's good.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yep.
Good.
Obviously, with Jimmy's situation, now you have to potentially get two quarterbacks ready for Saturday. What's the process like, dealing with that?
Well, I think with any injury, you have to get, whoever's available ready to go. And, I can't really speak on any injuries topics right now. That's that's not for me to answer. So we'll see how today goes and then address it tomorrow when we need to be.
When you watch the film from the game and see Jimmy's interceptions, is it the case you think of him trying to do too much, or what did you see from the film watching some of those plays?
I think you see a lot of good that Jimmy did. He completed a lot of passes, in the drop back game and all that. And, I think at the end of the day, just when the first read's not there, second read's not there, just being smart with the football, taking care of it and moving on and understanding that an incomplete pass isn't a bad thing. So that's for any quarterback, and we try and address that on a weekly basis. And he's aware of that, and we'll try and make that better as we go forward.
There was a little bit of success in the run game, I guess, in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Was that maybe lighter boxes of them backing up a little bit, or did you kind of discover something, do you think?
No, I don't think we discovered anything. I think we just did a better job up front and, at all positions of getting the ball downhill and getting a hat in the hat. We talk about it every week, and we talk about it all the time, and that's what we're working on right now to make sure we get the best possibilities to do that. So the offensive line in the second half, I think you saw do that. Josh got the ball downhill, and we saw some productive plays. So looking forward to carry that over probably this week coming up and try and get the running game going and get Josh getting started and get the line some confidence.
How beneficial was it for a young player like Michael Mayer to make a big-time catch on that second down, it's 2-point conversion, to kind of get the game closer, but also where some areas you feel like he can improve as well?
Yeah, Mike obviously made a big play there at the end of the game with the 2-point conversion and did the detail right on the play, sprung him open, and he did a lot in the game this past week too, and it was a lot of the stuff in the running game and blocking and that kind of thing and jam protections and all those plays are big. So he obviously has seen a lot of play time and other production in terms of receptions hasn't been there when you guys look at the stat sheet. But, there are a lot of things he did well, a lot of things he need to improve on like any young player, whether that's a run fit, angles on a run game, moving his feet, sustaining a block, getting the right jam on the jam protections, all those type of things. So he saw a lot of play time. He's improved week to week, and we'll look forward to having him improve this week coming forward.
Do you see him making strides in his blocking? Has that been, I'm sure it's been a key area of focus.
Yeah, I think all the tight end room has been asked to do a lot of things in the running game these past few weeks, and it's grown since week one. So they've definitely have had more playtime exposure to some things, and it's Michael especially being a young player, so he definitely has a lot to improve on, but definitely a lot that he's taken and improved on already. So looking forward to that moving forward.
What have you seen from the Chargers defense? I mean, they give up a lot, but they do have a lot of really talented players over there, obviously. So,
Charger questions, I like it. Yeah, we're obviously familiar with the Chargers, playing them twice a year, being the same system with Coach Staley. They have very good talent on all three levels. I feel like I said every week with Murray at linebacker. Derwin James is a very productive player in the back end. Samuel, J.C. Jackson, Davis is an experienced player in the scheme. And then obviously the two edge guys do a phenomenal job, Bosa and Mack. So you have to be prepared at all three levels, similar to how we talked about it versus Denver and then Buffalo. They play very good football and they play very good situational football. They have an attack mindset and they look to create negative plays. So we have to do a good job of staying true to our rules and making sure we don't have those negative plays pop up, because that's what we're looking for. We're looking for turnovers, negative plays. And if we do a good job of taking care of the football, both from a runner standpoint and from a quarterback standpoint, we can kind of negate some of the things they want to try and do. But, I think it starts with us first, and then it carries over to them.
Despite all of the talent that they have on defense, they've been allowing a lot of points to their first three opponents, a lot of yards. Without trying to get too schematical, what are some things you feel like teams are exploiting about their defense that maybe your team, the Raiders offense, can also do as well?
Things they're exposing, you can look at it from it's a 3-game sample size, so every week's different. They have familiarity with us, so that's a little bit of a different thing. So they know what we do, we know what they do. I think you have to look at it from a singular mindset and say, okay, what can we control first and play and go from that? What do we have confidence in and go from that? And then how does that apply to LA? And I think we have to start there as opposed to saying, oh, Tennessee did this or some other team did that or Miami did this, because we don't have the same personnel as them. So we have to fit our personnel into what we can feel, but we have comfortable with against their scheme. And that's what we try and do on a weekly basis, and that's what we'll try and do against LA.
Not making any presumptions about injuries or anything like that, but just Aiden O'Connell in general. What have you seen in the last couple of weeks? Obviously, when the season starts, the reps are kind of different in practice and that sort of thing. So, what have you seen about his progression, maybe from preseason until now?
He's got a lot of reps in the scout team. Gets the ball out on time, works really hard, takes the game plan, prepares like if he were to start. So he's a reason we drafted him, because he's smart and can throw the football very efficiently, and he's a productive player, was a productive player in college, and you guys saw that in the preseason. So, preparation standpoint, he does a good job. I think that's the biggest thing I've seen from him is, he's learned how to create a routine for himself as a young player, and that's a big thing. You asked about Michael earlier. I think he's done the same thing, getting a routine in terms of preparation and then routine in terms of body maintenance and the routine in terms of practice. I think Aiden's taking that seriously, and that's the thing I've been most impressed with.
That's good. One more?
I was just going to say, with all the attention that Devontae, does get as the receiver he is, Jacoby Myers also has the opportunity to make plays on the other side. How impressed have you been with, Jacoby and how he's fitting this offense so far?
Yeah, Jacoby Myers and the whole receiver room has done a really good job of doing their job and being dependable. I think in the passing game, I think that you have seen that every week moving forward. Like I said previously in previous times you guys asked me, Jacoby works extremely hard. He's very smart, and he does everything in a detailed manner, what that Coach Edgar Bennett asked him to do. I've obviously had some history with Jacoby, so nothing he does surprises me. He's a very dependable player and works extremely hard at it, and whether it's run game or pass game. And, Devontae sees that in him. He sees that in Devontae, and I think having those two in the room pushes the room in general, which is why I think you guys see some production from them on a weekly basis.
Thanks.
Good? Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.